All right, is this fake news or not? Eddie Hearn has looked to have leaked this potential story, which basically is coming out of boxing scene, and they're saying Amir Khan may replace Anthony Joshua in his date in Wembley, and Anthony Joshua, if Amir Khan takes the KELL Brook fight, will look to have his next bout over in the U.S. E-King Fight News, more on this. Hey, yo. E-King Fight News. You know we're back at it, man. So Eddie Hearn hasn't really commented on this. It's the news outlets that are reporting the news. The likes of World Boxing News and Boxing Scene have the same story. It's that if Amir Khan takes KELL Brook, Eddie Hearn might place that fight in Wembley if Anthony Joshua elects to have his next fight in the U.S. He seems to have gotten the bug to come over and have a U.S. fight after watching Canelo Alvarez take on Rocky bum-ass Fielding. And I gotta throw that bum-ass in there because, man, it didn't matter who was in that ring. That Rocky Fielding was there to get knocked out. Fucking Errol Spence could have knocked out. Errol Spence would have knocked the shit out of Rocky Fielding, man. And I ain't even playing, man. I really ain't even playing. Amir Khan would have gone in there and beat the shit out of Rocky Fielding, man. Like I really, like, yo, that Rocky Fielding. Who the fuck is Rocky Fielding? Someone's got to explain that to me, man. But anyways, man, some bum-ass dudes out here, man. Unbelievable. Unbelievable how this guy, basically got selected to get knocked out by Canelo, man. It's unbelievable. Hold on a second, guys. All right, let's get it, man. So, I mean, this whole story, it just seems like something weird about it, man. I don't know. Something weird about this story. This story right here, now that I think about it, man, I don't know. I don't know if it's true, man. You mean to tell me all of a sudden Anthony Joshua wants to fight Jarrell Miller in New York? Where, AJ's not really a draw at all over there. Jarrell Miller's not a proven draw over there. But somehow, if those two guys come together, maybe it can be a decent card. Maybe. In my opinion, they need to stack the undercard if that's a go. And it just seems like Jarrell Miller, Anthony Joshua, maybe that's a great fight. Maybe that could be an entertaining scrap. And if AJ decides to do that, oddly enough, I wouldn't have an issue with that fight. I think Jarrell Miller's, as much as I hammer on the guy, if he got the first shot against AJ, we're gonna find out what he's all about. And that's what I've been saying about Jarrell Miller from jump. I just want to see that guy step up. I want to see him take on a challenge where he's not the automatic, 5-1 favorite to eat somebody for fucking dinner. I want to see this guy tested for real. Whether it's Luis Ortiz, whether it's a Joe Joyce, whether it's all these accomplished guys, Dillian White, Kubrat Pulev. I want to see this guy step up. So if he wants to take on AJ in the Barclays, which I don't really see that happening, but if he wants to do it, I have no issue with that. Right? I think Jarrell Big Baby Miller needs to speak on this. That's what I really think. Because if this is true, then Jarrell Miller must have some foreknowledge, and he's obviously accessible. Man, somebody get a hold of Jarrell Miller and see if this is legit. If this is legit, if he's really gonna get the next shot. I would like to know I think we all want to know if this is true or not. Because the thing about Eddie Hearn, man, the thing about this guy right here, snake ass Eddie Hearn, is he's got a knack for leaking out fake news. That's the one thing about this guy, man. Like you see what kind of headlines these UK tabloids are rolling with. Like, oh, Vladimir Klitschko is gonna come back. He thinks he could beat everybody. He thinks he could dominate the division again. That the source of that whole headline was Eddie Hearn, guys. So how can you trust it? And if the source of this information, which can only come from Matchroom / Eddie Hearn, someone on the inside, I mean, if it's coming from Eddie Hearn, we can't trust it. We just can't trust it. He could be throwing this out there as a quote-unquote news story just to see what kind of interest is out there for Anthony Joshua and Jarrell Miller. Is there any interest? Is it going to stir up talks? You know? And the one thing that really backs all of what I'm saying is Eddie Hearn has absolutely fed reporters with fake news. He's done it before. He did it to Dan Raphael when there was some news going around that Dillian Whyte would be fighting Luis Ortiz. Remember, Dan Raphael reported it because he got it from Eddie Hearn that Dillian Whyte would be facing Luis Ortiz. And we were all supporting that fight. I was shocked. And I found out just a half hour to an hour later it was fake news. So what do you guys think? Do you think Eddie Hearn would give Amir Khan the Wembley Stadium date? Which would be, I think that's a bit of a demotion for the UK fans to get Amir Khan instead of Anthony Joshua. I don't know. I'm just saying, I don't see how that's a win-win for the UK fans. I mean, are they going to fill out Wembley Stadium just to see Amir Khan versus a washed-up KELL Brook? Is that really the big UK fight? I mean, if you're Anthony Joshua and you got a date in Wembley, he's out in the US calling out the biggest names. I mean, is the natural opponent the winner of the Dillian Whyte-Derek Chisora fight? I mean, it's hard to say. If Chisora knocks this guy out, if he looks impressive, Eddie Hearn's been saying he's going to match up AJ versus Dillian Whyte. Now is AJ trying to get out of that scenario? Because that's what it sounds like to me. And I don't know about y'all, but this guy's been avoiding top flight competition for quite some time. I mean, the Parker fight, that's not a guy that's a good puncher. Anthony Joshua hasn't faced a puncher since his last fight with Alexander Povetkin. And, Povetkin has a gassed up record. His only loss is to Vladimir Klitschko. But in recent memory, has he beaten anybody of significance? In recent memory, he hasn't beaten anybody. The last big win that Alexander Povetkin got was fucking David Price, who ain't never been shit. So I mean, AJ's been getting by fighting, guys that are really not in the top 5. Eddie Hearn had to, talk out of his ass talking about Povetkin's the number 3 heavyweight in the world. Are you kidding me? That was not a number 3 heavyweight that we saw against AJ. And I would be hard pressed. If Dillian Whyte looked impressive and Eddie Hearn didn't make that fight. Because, does Jarrell Miller win over Dillian Whyte? Who's fought the better opposition in the past 2 months? I would be livid if I was Dillian Whyte and I heard about these plans. And if you're Eddie Hearn, do you want to piss off Dillian White, who could easily switch boats? You know, I don't believe he has a long-term deal with Eddie Hearn. He could easily, if he wanted the smoke, go after Deontay Wilder. But he doesn't want the smoke. He hasn't shown any interest in Luis Ortiz. And he hasn't shown any interest in Dominic Brazil, guys. So, I mean, there's a whole lot going on with Matchroom, the Mismatch Room, the Duck Zone. And you guys let me know what you think. Fake news or not, Amir Khan could replace Anthony Joshua, and AJ could fight in the U.S. I don't buy it, man. You can't fight news, and we're out.